Hello, everyone. Hello from wherever you are listening. Welcome to this edition of Map Show. We are so excited to have you with us, and I'm really excited to introduce our speaker tonight, as well as later on our panel. So our speaker tonight is none other than the founder of Map for Life, Glen McQuirk. Glen has been at Map for Life for over 23 years now. He's passionate about impacting people's lives. He's passionate about living a purposeful life himself, but not only that, making other people aware through Map for Life as to how they can lead purposeful lives. Um, you know, it's been a real honor to know Glenn for the past 10, 15 years that I've known him, that I've worked with him. He is so passionate about what he does. He's such an inspiration to so many people, and his influence has gone way beyond where he hails from. That is Pretoria here in South Africa. His influence is now global. So without much further ado, I now introduce you to Glen McQuirk to give us a talk on making good choices. Over to you, Glen.
Well, good evening. This is a really, really exciting time, and I trust that you are going to have a moment of focus this evening. And thank you so much, Terence, for being part of this journey as we move into the future. And it's just amazing how the past 23 years have just flown by. I'm sure that everybody tuned in this evening will remember your grandparents saying those very words. And I can attest to that right now. Life passes by so quickly. And, you know, as we journey through life, the one thing that's important is that we make good decisions. I spend so much time in my life making poor choices, and I hope that tonight I can just share some ideas with you to be able to shift from making poor decisions, or rather poor choices, to powerful choices. And the title, as you have already heard, is to make good choices in life. And there are three decision drivers that I'm going to introduce you to this evening. And I like to talk about the what they call the PMS decision driver. And I know that every woman is looking at that PMS decision driver and wondering, what am I getting at? And every guy thinks he knows exactly what I'm talking about. But I want to use the acronym for PMS as your purpose or your personal mission statement. And these particular decision drivers are going to help you to really engage with your personal mission. And so one of the questions that I believe we need to be asking, and what's going to lead this discussion, is firstly, what is persuading you? Or who is persuading you to make the decisions that you are making? So many times, I mean, just this very day, I received a message from somebody that was looking at 4 or 5 different things that they want to be doing in their new location. And when I looked at the different things that they were planning to do, I could recognize that what was persuading them was a poor persuasion. And I'm going to talk a bit about these poor types of persuasions that people allow. The other question that I want to look at is, what is your motive? What is driving you? What is pulling you? What is drawing you to whatever it is that you're aiming to achieve in life? And then the third question is, what are you striving for? What are you striving towards? And I think these three questions are important for us to ask, in particular when it comes to defining or writing your personal mission statement. Not only that, but when we make choices in terms of the goals that we set ourselves. Because you see, when you set a goal, you are actually committing your life. You're exchanging your life for something. And I'm certain nobody wants to exchange their life for worthless things. We want to exchange our life for something valuable. In fact, we want to exchange our life for something that goes beyond value. We want to exchange our life in such a way that it is like a seed that has been planted, that produces a tree that is fruitful, that becomes a forest. I don't think anybody wants to live their life, however long it might be, for it just to be blown away by the winds of time. And so, what can help you and I make good decisions relating to the three questions I've just mentioned to you? Well, I want to focus first on the poor PMS, or the poor decision drivers. And yes, one that comes at the age of 13 or 14 already, and it is peer or parental pressure. You know, we're going through a schooling system that actually expects us to choose a career from a list of things that have been done before, to choose something where we already know the outcome. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been watched a movie for the second time. I mean, you know the hero's not going to die. You know the final outcome. The experience that you have in a movie when you're watching it for a second time is so different. There's something missing. And I think in life, so many people are choosing some things that are predictable, things that have been done before, and they already know the outcome before they start. I'm sorry, I don't want to be part of that kind of life. But you know, when I was 13 or 14, I had to make a decision, and the only choices that were presented were things that other people had already done. And so I had no interest. And so what happened was, my parents wanted to persuade me to make certain choices. And the persuasion was, what could I do that would make them look good? You see, we get persuaded sometimes even by our friends. You know, if we don't know what choice to make when it comes to subjects, we actually might think, what subject are my best friends going to be taking? And you just join that class. Maybe you even make a selection of what university you're going to go to based on what other people are doing. And I find that so many people are being persuaded by things that are outside of their control. I mean, I don't even know what I'm going to be doing next, let alone what other people plan to do next. And yet so many people think that they can read other people's minds, and they think and they wonder, I wonder what my mother or father expects me to do, or what my husband or wife expects me to do. And then they make choices based on what they think other people expect them to do. That should not be the case. And I'm going to talk about a far more powerful decision driver in a moment. Another decision driver that so many people use is money. I'll never forget the day when I went to go and see my final marks. You know, when when you've been studying for 4 years at university and maybe even during school, they tend to put those final results up on the notice board. And so, of course, I went to my lecture hall to go and look at that notice board to see, was my name on the list? Was I one of the people that had passed? And out of the 54 that started with me, there were 13 of our names on there. And so I had completed it, but right next to that list was a list of all the different kinds of engineering and their earning potential. And it started with chemical engineering and electronic engineering on the top. We had all spent 4 years studying hard, but somehow a civil engineer was second from last, just above agricultural engineer. And I remember that day feeling a deep sense of dissatisfaction, because at that point in my life, I was measuring my worth based on a monetary value. As a family, I know when I went out to the local restaurant with my family, we used to shop like this. We would run our finger down the right-hand side of the menu and find something that fit our budget, and we would eat that. You see, money was controlling every decision in our life. And I think that money is a very poor motive for making decisions. And yes, there's many arguments by people saying that, of course, money is needed. I think money is only needed because we think it's needed. If we think it isn't needed, maybe our vision and our dreams would change. Here's a thing that many people are striving for, and that is status. You know, we want to live in the upper end suburbs. We want to have the title. We want to have a name for ourselves. Whenever you gather with people, it's amazing how often strangers will come up to you and say, "Where do you live? Where do you work?" And they evaluating your value based on the three things that I've just spoken about. Acceptance, which is where peer and parental pressure come in, money and status. And that's how we evaluate one another. But there's a powerful PMS, and this one is what I want to really share with you this evening. Because I truly believe that if we can just switch to making decisions and choices based on this PMS, we can radically transform our lives and the people around us. We will change the things we engage in. And the first one that is so important is passion. What are you passionate about? What puts a smile on your face 7 days a week that you can engage in? What causes you to lose track of time? What keeps you awake at night because you're so excited about what's coming in the morning? What wakes you up before the alarm clock? What gets you to ignite the fire in others because you have something that's burning inside of you? What is your passion? I know when I'm connected and communicating with people a message of hope, it ignites passion within me. We should be passionately engaged. We're sitting here at the middle almost of the year 2022. And the question is, how many days have you woken up in the morning excited beyond belief for the day that lies ahead? How many days have you been enthusiastically engaged in what you love doing? Or are you like so many other people? You just get up on a Monday morning simply because somebody else said you must. And you work Monday to Friday, and the only day that you have a smile on your face is Friday, because you know the 2 days that you have to live life are going to be coming your way. Let's make decisions based on passion, because when you ignite a fire within your heart, there is no fire from outside that can kill that fire. It doesn't matter what happens in the world. When you are on fire yourself, nothing can burn you. So let's make decisions based on our passion. The M, instead of money, let's engage in things that are meaningful, things that make a difference, things that matter. You know, when you do something, I've had opportunities in my life to do silly little things. And when I say silly little things, you know, helping somebody carry their groceries to their car. Unexpected, but you do it nonetheless. It's a menial task, but you know, when I've done those things, it has done something for my spirit. Now, why limit it to trivial things of that nature? Why not make it your life's mission to engage meaningfully in such a way that there is a trail of transformation behind you? Not a dust trail or a pile of ashes ahead. No. Imagine a trail of creation where the world changes because you were here. Wherever you placed your feet, something happened in the hearts and minds of people. If you and I can engage in that kind of meaningful activity, man, the world's going to be different. It's going to be transformed. Life is too short to be chasing after success, after status, of trying to be better than others. There's always going to be somebody better than you. There's always going to be a race where you come second or third. But you know, when you start connecting with and meeting the needs in this world, when you start taking your eyes off of yourself and focusing on others, things begin to change. When I look at our panel this evening, from the United Kingdom, from the Kingdom of Jordan, from Egypt, from South Africa, when I look at that panel, I see in my mind's eye the ignition of something incredible that could transform those cities, those countries, and beyond. You see, because when we take the eye off ourselves, when we stop worrying about who's going to get the credit, when we stop worrying about who's going to be paid, when we stop worrying about, you know, the cost on my side, the inconvenience, when we stop worrying about those things, when we die to self and we begin to focus on others, significant things happen. Here's something to think about, and that is the insignificance in significance. The insignificance in significance. Significant things, ideas that have changed the world forever, began in the mind and the hearts of people just like you and I. I want to tell you tonight that the future that people are dreaming about is present right now in the hearts and minds of people. The future that we're going to step into has already been created in people's hearts and minds. But you know, we're not going to step into an exciting future if we're making choices based on peer pressure, money, and status. But if we switch and we begin to make decisions based on passion, meaning, significance, I believe that we're going to ignite something that is going to be unstoppable. We're going to start a tsunami of transformation like the world has never seen. I believe that the era of purpose is going to be born when you begin to make powerful decisions. You see, we're going to have to cross the line. When you chase after acceptance, when you chase money, when you chase status, it is the most elusive thing. You just never get there. But when you begin to do things of purpose, of passion, meaning, and significance, suddenly things begin to happen. And those other things will automatically take place in your life. I hope that tonight I have ignited in you just a small bit of hope that's going to get you excited about the year that lies ahead. I am excited to hear what the panel has to share with you tonight, because tonight we have a wealth of wisdom, and Terence will be directing us. So after this short break, please share your comments and ask questions of the panel on YouTube, Facebook, or wherever you might be watching right now, because we want to involve you in this discussion. Have a wonderful evening further, and we'll chat again with the panel after this.
Wow, thank you, Glenn. Thank you for that significant, powerful talk. What a reminder to us all that we can lead lives different to the mundane. We can be different. We can make an impact on this world. And I'm reminded of you mentioned in your talk lighting the fire. I'm reminded of a campfire, which late in the evening sort of goes dead, and all it needs is a bit of fanning of that fire to get a light again, and soon the warmth and the flames are all there. So that's the way I see your talk tonight. Thank you so much, and I am looking forward to now introducing the panel. Glenn has already mentioned them by name and where they're from, but I just want to reintroduce them to you as we go into a panel discussion. So, as Glenn said, um, tonight's Map for Life panel is truly global, and I'm going to start from the farthest north. Bit of a geography lesson here. Hope I get it right. So we have Heather in London. Heather, thank you so much for joining us. You want to say hi and just quickly introduce yourself, and I'll move from north to south.
Good evening, everybody. I'm originally from Africa, actually, born in Zimbabwe, and I've been in the UK for quite a long time now, and I'm familiarizing myself with it. But I'm so excited to be part of the Map for Life Institute and glad to be on tonight.
Great, Heather. Thank you very much. And then from the Kingdom of Jordan, Mark, do you want to introduce yourself quickly before I move on to? I should have gone to Murad first, but that's fine. My geography is not that good. Pardon me.
Hi, my name is Mark. I've been living in Jordan for the past 6 years with my wife and our twins, and a real honor and blessing to be here with you guys.
Great, Mark. Great to have you. Looking forward to the discussion with you. And then Murad, thanks for joining us all the way from Egypt.
Yes, I'm Murad from Cairo, Egypt. Part of me is from South Africa, part is from UK, part from Egypt, because I lived and experienced these cultures for quite a few years, and I'm happy to be with you here today.
Great. Thanks for joining us, Murad. Good to have you. And then coming down all the way south to Johannesburg, Peter, also a veteran of Map for Life. Peter, you want to give yourself a quick intro, please?
Well, I could start off like Heather. The only difference, I would say that I was born in Rhodesia as opposed to Zimbabwe, that I left the Central African Federation of Southern Rhodesia, Northern Rhodesia, and Nyasaland to come down to the Union of South Africa. I also spent a bit of time in the United Kingdom like Heather, but Johannesburg's my home. And I'm a Map for Life, changed my life, and that's why I'm here tonight.
Excellent, Peter. Excellent. Thank you very much. And I myself, I'm Terence Ogle. I'm from Johannesburg, like Peter is, born and bred in South Africa. Been involved with Map for Life for the past 15 or so years. Known Glen for that time. Known Peter during that time. So, yeah, also a true mapper. Looking forward to chatting with you guys tonight. Okay, so to begin with, I think the first thing that came to my mind was that I'll never look at the acronym PMS in the same way again after Glen's talk. So there's a map for life PMS. And the question that Glen asked initially, that's what I want to start on. Okay. And we all come from different countries. We've been exposed to different cultures. And I would imagine that given our different backgrounds, who and what persuades us is maybe different. And maybe that's where I want to start with that question. What is it that persuades you as an individual? And what do you see persuading the people in your cultural group as well? So what persuades you? What drives you? What pressures do you find in making your decisions? And generally, what do you see when you look at the culture that you live in? Heather, can we start with you?
Yeah, sure. What's persuading me right now at this very moment probably is money.
Okay.
And we live in a culture where money is crucial, especially when you want to do the best for your children or you want to do the best for your grandchildren. It's not necessarily money driving you for yourself, but
Right.
in the community we're in, money is actually what's persuading a lot of people to do what they're doing.
Sure. Thanks. And that's a reality. And I guess the challenge for us is how much priority do we give to money, and where do we put it in our hierarchy of priorities? But absolutely right. Peter gave a talk for those who may have missed it on money and the importance of money, but how we should prioritize money. Thanks for that, Heather. Murad, do you wanna share your experiences of?
Yes, absolutely. Well, years and years back in time, what really was something that was driving me was to have, because I went through great minds and went reading their books and attending various seminars and symposiums. I went through a good unleashing mind transformation from the learning concepts that I have gained and accumulated. And that became my passion, that since I have experienced this kind of living unconstrained by thoughts that limit a person and his potential, and seeing this how our culture constrains people potential, it became my igniting passion to help people remove any constraints that might be holding them back from the way they look about work, the way they look about themselves, the way they look about family. Transformational concepts that I have seen and I have experienced was a driving force to make people as well experience. At the moment, I'm at a crossroad and revisiting my my next phase in life to see what would drive me forward.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Murad. So what I'm hearing you saying is that you actually need a mind shift first to realize that there is a different way of living, if I can put it as simply as that. And once you have that mind shift, you can then proceed and not only change your own life, but begin impacting others. Thank you very much for that insight. Mark?
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, I think I'm in a very fortunate position here in Jordan to be. What drives me, what motivates me, is to make a significant difference in the lives of those we come in contact with.
Okay.
It's an absolute driving force for us, and I'm part of an organization that really encourages that. They've provided an overall vision, and then give you quite a bit of freedom to find your own purpose in this vision, and just have it aligned. And so I look back of so many years how I was so part of the wrong kind of PMS. And it's been a journey of growth coming out of that. It's been a journey of many, many, many years, but and many struggles. But I wouldn't change a second of that for what I have at the moment. It's just such a privilege to be where we're at the moment.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. So what I take away from that is two things. One is you mentioned community. Community is so important. To surround yourself with people who are going to take you in the right direction, and without the peer pressure, etc., that Glen was talking about. And we're fortunate, as we speak, the five of us, obviously Glen included as a speaker, we're fortunate to belong to this community of Map for Lifers. Because that's where we get our motivation from. That's where we are held accountable, etc. And the second one that you mentioned, which I made a note of here, is the growth, and that it's not necessarily an easy path. In fact, you find that it's often a difficult path to walk the road less traveled. It is, because you're out on your own. You're not in the crowd. So thank you for those insights. Really appreciate it, Peter. You've been around with
Well,
Map for Life for a long time. Over to you.
I'm almost arguing with Glen. I'm
Right.
fueled by pressure. And my pressure comes that I know that I was created for a purpose that the world cannot do without. And I know that my Creator has given me certain gifts and talents. And I know
Right.
that someday I'm going to have to stand in front of Him and account for what I've done with my gifts and talents. So I talk about that as pressure, but it's a driving force that
Right.
that I need to fulfill the purpose for which I was born. And that's my pressure and my purpose and my motivating factor and what I'm striving for.
Excellent, Peter. So yeah, you strive, you thrive under pressure.
Yeah.
And when we speak of pressure, my mind goes to diamonds. That's where I spent most of my career. And diamonds, the best diamonds, are formed under the biggest pressure. So it's exciting to hear you speak about pressure leading to your purpose. And I just see one coming from a rough diamond to a brilliantly polished and a perfectly a cut diamond. Okay, thanks so much for those insights. Glen also spoke about passion, and I know we've already covered passion in some of the discussions we've had. But for me, a question which I want to pose to the panel as well is, what does passion look like? When you look at somebody, what are the characteristics of that person that would make you say, "Wow, that's a passionate person. They're passionate about even Liverpool." In fact, speaking seriously, if you look at the English fans, right, and I digress here, but if you look at the English fans and the way they support their soccer teams, right, that's one way of passion. And again, I just want to throw it open. We might express our passions differently in different cultures, but I think there's a common theme that runs across what does passion look like. So I'm going to start with Peter on the top, and I'm going to work down. Peter, what does passion look like for you?
Passion is that meaning to live. And I was just looking at a quote I've got in front of me from Viktor Frankl. Ever more people today have the means to live, but no meaning to live for.
Okay.
I think it's that passion that's it, meaning to live for. I just sort of, as we were talking, I was looking at the books that I've got around me, and I've got one by Paul Tripp entitled "A Quest for More: Living for Something Bigger Than You." And I think we need something like that to really to light the fire within us, and that's what's important to me. That's what my passion is lighting that
Right.
fire and moving forward.
And living for something bigger than you. When one walks into a room and you encounter somebody that's passionate, It's contagious, right? That passion just flows through. There's an energy that you experience, and yeah, you can actually sense it. Murad, what are your thoughts on passion? How do you experience it, and how do you see it in others, especially?
Well, I think before I came into this meeting, I was in another meeting,
Right.
and I was in making a deal, and the people can find that this guy is really passionate about this deal. He doesn't want to kind of go any way, right or left. And I
Right.
think a passion is something when you also have a strong conviction of something, you automatically your passion comes alive. You defend it, you say its benefits because it's something you really have a conviction and you believe in. And when you have a passion for life, is something that will keep you going in hard times, and that my life matters. I still have a mission to complete. People can still see this conviction without even speaking about it.
Right. Right. Thanks, Murad. Yeah, it's similar to what Peter said. Yeah, eh? Something bigger than yourself, reason for living, deep conviction, and not straying to and fro. That's your focus. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Mark, I see you nodding your head in agreement. Can you want to share some
Yeah.
of your insights?
Yeah, absolutely. I like what Marut said about how your passion will carry you through the difficult times, which guaranteed are going to come. There's just no two ways around it. And that is what, and then you mentioned it's addictive. It's just, it rubs off. And when people see you moving through life in a way that's different to theirs, they sit up and take notice. Um, I've just been reading a book on what's it called? Designing Your Life, how to build a well-lived, joyful life. And in it, it speaks about a time journal that you keep, and you, next to each activity, you measure how engaged you are in the activity, and then how energized you are by that activity. And it is amazing how, when you are busy with the things that you are passionate about, how your engagement and energy scores are much, much higher than at other times. And I've made a quality decision to very intentionally focus far more of my time on those things rather than on things that just keep you busy. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing, absolutely nothing can replace the passion of having discovered your purpose. Um, and it doesn't stop there, does it? We continue to grow in our purpose. There's always a little bit more around the corner.
Excellent, Mark. Thank you so much. You're right. It's a journey, and I love the fact that your energy and your engagement levels can be measured. I'd love to be able to measure the scores of this panel right now, because I can sense it. Like, everybody's pressing in and want to share passionately, because we want to impact other people's lives. Right. Thank you for that, Mark. Heather, over to you.
Passion. You're talking about energy. It's the
It,
frequency you're on. You're on a higher
yeah,
frequency.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
so when you're on a higher frequency and people on a lower frequency to you, you attract them. It's all about posture,
wow.
and how you stand, how you walk. A passionate person doesn't sit on the fence. They know what they want, and
All
they're
right.
going for it. They're determined. They do everything with intent. So, to live your life with passion, I get so amazed when you walk into a church building and people are supposed to be passionate for God, and they're singing very slowly, like they're on their way somewhere else. Or you go to an athletics meet, maybe a relay, and you got one runner who's not giving it 100%. A passionate person gives 100% because they already know what the end result is going to be. So if you want to be passionate, start with just changing your posture. Stand up straight, walk tall. So get on
Wonderful.
a higher frequency.
Excellent. Excellent. Peter, do you want to say something? Do Do you want to answer that?
Well, I'm just back to this intentional living,
All right.
and that's living with intent, as Heather said. And I think that's the key to it, to go out there and make a difference.
Absolutely. I love the terminology that's being used here. Higher frequency, right posture, being present. Those are positive terms in themselves. They energize in themselves. So I just want to take a step back now and sort of go back to the title of Glen's talk. Okay, and the title was how does one make good decisions? Because all that we've said is good and right and proper, but at the end of it, we need to make good decisions, right? And I just want to start off with advice given by Andy Stanley. Then I'll throw it open to the panel. Andy Stanley says in one of his books or lectures, he says, in order to make good decisions or good choices, you need to ask yourselves 3 questions. And the first is, based on my past experience, or one question with 3 parts. Based on my past experience, understanding my current situation, and considering my future hopes and dreams, what is the wise thing to do? All right? And into that, I also read purpose. When you're looking ahead and you're saying, what am I really here for? And does the decision I'm about to make, does that align with my purpose? Does it align with where I want to go, and what I'm striving to, where to get to? So, what I'd like the panel to do, almost in conclusion, is share with us how you make good choices over and above what Glen has just said to us. And Mark, can I start with you, and then I'll work the opposite way. Thanks, Mark.
Absolutely.
How do you make good decisions? What advice would you give?
All right. Well, hopefully, in the pursuit of your purpose, you would have a set of values that you've written down for the different areas of your life. And these values need to reflect your purpose. These values need to reflect what you hold most dear in that area of life. And I've just found, and I'll just admit here that I don't always get it right. So it's good for me to talk about this because I'm just getting more aware of it. But when making a decision, making sure that it always lines up with the values, your value system that you've put in place, that it serves you and other people, and that it serves your purpose, and by default that it serves your creator. I think that's just really important.
Excellent, Mark. Excellent. Thank you. I'm reminded here again that in the Map for Life methodology, right up front, step 1, wheel of life, right in the center of that wheel, the cog, we have value and we have purpose, and all that must be aligned. Thank you so much for that reminder. Right, Murad, do you want to share with us how you would advise anybody, and how do you yourself make wise choices or decisions?
Well, basically, in most of the decisions that I look back on and see, there is usually a compromise, and then if the price of the compromise is acceptable, then I go with the decision. But definitely, it needs to be in line and syncing with the same direction. It needs to be serving my values. Needs to be in the right direction where I'm living. About where I am currently in my life. And for me, decisions has not always been black or white. Many times it's very gray area that you have to decide in between. And what I'm trying to say is that the white is not that obvious and the black is not that obvious. Sure. So you have to really count the cost in each area and then decide based on your very current situation, what is best for you moving forward, based on where you want to go as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Murad. Yeah, it's certainly not black and white, and that's why more important for us to have these markers, such as values, to be able to guide us. And in addition to that, we have all this noise coming from the outside. We have all this pressure that Glenn was talking about. Depending on where we're at and how old we are, it's parents, it's peers, it's family. There's all these external. But at the end of the day, we've got to make that decision based on our assessment and our value set and all the things that have been spoken about. Thank you for that, Murad. Peter, wise
Yeah,
choices.
I'm back to with what Mark said, and the question of values and how we needed to be guided by our values. And Glenn and I were talking to somebody today, and he's spoken about his values. He puts his values down in a very simple way, and he says that he talks about a camp and how he takes time out to go and camp. But for him, camp stands for Christ activates my purpose. And it's, I love that description. There it is. He's putting his values out there right up front, and that's what activates his purpose. And I just think it's a wonderful purpose to have.
Excellent, Peter. Yeah, excellent idea to package one's values in some form that is meaningful to you. And they will be meaningful to you because they're your values, right? You may share values with others, but at the end of the day, those are the values you hold dear, and those are the values that drive your life and your behavior going forward. Thanks for sharing that. Right, Heather, can we sum up with you?
Oh, making good choices is very, very difficult. Whilst Glenn spoke about the poor drivers and he spoke about pressure, the biggest obstacle every single person has is themselves. It's you. You are your biggest obstacle. And you've got to bring yourself back to, as he said, what's persuading you? What's your motive? What are you striving towards? And that brings you back to what is your goal? Now, I can give you an example. One of my goals is to release some weight. Okay. And then I baked crunchies yesterday. And I said to myself, well, my goal is to lose X amount by X date. So whether or not I eat 4 now is not going to make any difference to whether or not I reach my goal. So we play these mind games with ourselves.
Right.
But you've got to ask yourself, is this a dream or is it a wish? Because if it's a wish, then you've lost the battle in making what is the better choice. If it's a dream, then you got to say to yourself, will this bring me closer to my goal?
Excellent. Yeah, and Heather, you link up very well with what Murad said about it all starts in the mind. You've got to get your mind right. And we've got to be serious about what is serious. I mean, living life is serious. And when you consider it not just this life, but the life beyond the grave, then it becomes even more serious and significant. But at the end of the day, panel, thank you so much. We really had an exciting talk from Glen. Really loved your insights, all of your insights. I've taken lots of notes here. We can actually take all these insights and have another talk just based on the insights. So thank you so much. And I'm sure the audience out there, whoever listens to this, will also get value out of it by listening carefully, taking what works for them, applying it in their own lives, and ultimately living significant lives. So thank you for your contribution to adding value to other people's lives. I really enjoyed it, facilitating this panel. Thank you very much once again, and good evening.
Thank you.
Today, for me, today for you, today for each of us, is an opportunity and an invitation to step into a world of abundance where your life matters, where your vision makes a difference, where the world will know that once upon a time in the past there was a man or a woman who rose to the calling of God in their life and made the impact that they were designed to make. And you have that ability. Just die to self, surrender to Him, and become significant. I couldn't be more excited for you. I could not be more excited about the future, because every person that you equip to take that step of putting a plan together for their life, a plan that is aligned with the desires of their heart, those people, those children, young and old, are going to come alive, and they're going to cause a ripple that goes through time that impacts the lives of others. Make the choice today to live a life of significance.